So first things first, who are you? What's your role and where do you work?
Hi, so my name is Peter Kelly. I'm the VP of Engineering at Tigera, the company behind Project Calico.
What are 3 emerging Kubernetes projects that you're keeping an eye on?
We're keeping a really close eye on what's happening in agentic AI. So there's some fantastic projects coming out of solo.io. These include Kagent for developing agents, Kgateway, and they announced today as well Agent Registry, which is really interesting. So they're definitely projects we're keeping a close eye on. We're also definitely leaning into the developments happening in Istio Ambient Mode, and we're super excited to be looking to contribute to some of that as well in the future.
One of our podcast guests, Ben Poland, thinks, for a platform team, you want to empower anyone to make the changes they need, rather than centralizing everything. How do you balance self-service capabilities with governance in platform engineering?
That's a great question. So I don't see them as mutually exclusive competing forces. I think platform engineers and people building out platforms see the developers as their customers, as their users. So I think you can provide strong guardrails and then some autonomy for the developers within those guardrails. So actually in Project Calico, in our open source project, we give you the ability to do tiered policies. So the platform team, the security team, they can define policies at like an upper layer that are immutable, and the application developers cannot interfere with them or change them. But then they can provide the application developers a lower tier where they can play around with their own network policy safely within those guardrails. So I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think platform engineers can provide strong layered approach and then give application developers the ability to manage and deploy their own network policy within their own policy tier.
Another guest of ours, Mac, believes we should expose the Kubernetes API to developers. The challenge is building guardrails around that exposure. How do you balance developer empowerment with operational safety?
Yeah, another great question. And I guess similar to the last point, you can provide a tiered approach where you can lock down the important components in the cluster. So somebody like the platform engineering team or security team can apply policy at that layer. And then you can give application developers the ability to write network policy in a more isolated space, maybe specific to a namespace where they play in. And then I think lastly, one cool thing you can do in Project Calico now in open source is you can do staged policy. So you can give the developers the ability to do a dry run so they can see what they would break to stop themselves shooting themselves in the foot. They can take the policy for a dry run and see what breaks or what flows in the cluster would be affected before they actually go ahead and execute that policy. So it gives a little bit more safety and a little bit more control, a little bit more autonomy for the developers to test that out.
Kubernetes turned 10 years old last year. What can we expect in the next 10 years?
Yeah, so the next 10 years in Kubernetes, Calico's actually been around for almost 10 years as well. So we kind of go hand in hand with Kubernetes. I think what we're going to see next is we're going to continue to see the deployment of Kubernetes in more on the edge. We're going to see the deployment of Kubernetes to support inference in AI models. There's a fantastic project called llm-d that's making that incredibly easy for Kubernetes. We're going to continue to see the user experience improve with projects like Headlamp. So I think the next 10 years are going to be super exciting in Kubernetes.
What's next for you, Peter?
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to continue to help delight as many Calico users as I can in the community. We announced a couple of interesting things today. So we have Calico AI, which is going to be available in early 2026. And we're also leaning into Istio Ambient Mode. So we're going to continue to explore like L7 policy and interesting roadmap lined up for what's going to come there next.